Can you all hear me okay?
Can hear you
Great.
perfect.
Thanks. Well, thank you all for allowing Denitra and I a few minutes to talk to you over lunch. I hope that the conversation is as tasty and interesting as what you're eating. Um, but and I really appreciate Bob, who I've known for a long time through his incredibly successful and varied career. So I really appreciate Bob giving us the chance to talk to you. So Denitra, let's introduce ourselves, and then I'm going to give you just a very high level overview of Procurated and why we created it in the first place, and then I'll turn it over to Denitra, who's much more interesting than I am, to sort of walk you through some of the basics of it. So, Denitra, maybe why don't you go first and introduce yourself, and then I'll do the same and get us started.
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, happy Friday, everyone. Thank you guys for taking the time to share your lunch with me. I wish I was eating all the great things that you guys were. I want to introduce myself. I am, of course, Denitra Gober, and I am part of the community engagement team here at Procurated. So I get to talk to and meet and train a lot of people that sit in chairs very much like you. I have been with Procurated for a little over a year, and it was one of the best decisions I have ever made. The team here is amazing, but what we do here is even more impactful, not only to communities like you guys have in Broward County, but nationwide. Prior to joining this team, I was with the city of Atlanta for about 7 years, where I worked with disadvantaged communities and bridging the digital gap. And in that, I learned a little bit about procurement and procurement processes and started to develop a passion. So when the opportunity came to join David and this phenomenal team, I jumped on it, and I love and enjoy every moment that I get to speak with you guys. David, take take the
Awesome.
mic.
Thanks, Denitra. And you all will see why we're so excited to have Denitra on our team in a minute. So nice to meet you all. David Yarkin. Um, uh, I'm a fan of Broward County and always love visiting Fort Lauderdale area. My favorite hamburger place in the entire world is in the county. It's called Le Tub. If anyone's been there, it's in Hollywood, and I think it's just perhaps the best meal you can ever eat. All they have is burgers and chili, but it's worth going to if you haven't been. So, in a previous life, I was the Bob Gleason of Pennsylvania. I was the chief procurement officer of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And in my time there, I think we accomplished some really good things. We saved $140 million on a recurring basis by buying smarter. Um, and at the same time, we were able to quadruple our small and diverse business participation rate, which is something that I was extremely proud of. So um, in that time, there was one problem that I just couldn't solve, and it was around the way that we select our suppliers and the way that we vet our suppliers. So in Pennsylvania, perhaps like in the county, whenever we went out to bid to an RFP, we'd ask our suppliers to give us three references as part of the process. And if you ever called a reference that a supplier gave you probably won't be surprised to hear that almost every time we made those calls, the customer on the other side of the phone said, "Oh, this supplier is incredible. They're infallible. They walk on water. They do nothing wrong." And unfortunately, we knew that the truth was probably not quite that rosy because suppliers are made of people, and people are human, and we make mistakes. And what we really wanted to know in Pennsylvania, and I know you do as well in the county, is you want to try to get an understanding about what it's actually like to work with a supplier. Because the suppliers that we choose matter. They impact the lives of our constituents, our most needy citizens, depend not only on the work that government does, but the work that suppliers do, because suppliers perform a lot of services directly for our citizens. And I knew in my heart that if we continue to just call the three references the suppliers gave us, and that was the only way we could really vet the quality of our suppliers, we were in for a lot of trouble. And we would continue to make poor selections on the suppliers we chose, not because it was us, we did our job, but because of the process that was created. In the meantime, I left the state and I started a consulting company, and part of that lifestyle of a consultant, as you probably know, was traveling a lot. So I would come to Fort Lauderdale or Miami or Palm Beach, and I'd find a way to stay in nice, good business hotels and have good experiences. But more important, as Denitra knows, I love food, and rather than going to a chain when I came to Broward County, I'd go to a place like La Tub that I only could have discovered by using a tool like Yelp or TripAdvisor. And so I thought to myself, I'm having these great experiences as a traveler by tapping into the wisdom of people just like me. I wonder if there's a way to take that same approach to the way that we vet our suppliers. And rather than just connecting all the visitors to Broward County who like to go out and eat burgers and be able to learn about the best burger joint in the county, what if we did that with our suppliers? Because look, we're all using Granger, we're all using Staples, we're all using CDW. Shouldn't someone in Broward County be able to benefit from the experiences of someone in LA County or in Denver to make a more informed decision rather than just calling those three references? And when we're trying to find small and diverse businesses, why shouldn't we give you the benefit of hearing from your colleagues in Fort Lauderdale, at the University of Florida, in Miami-Dade County, in Palm Beach County, to help us all make better decisions, to help us find the best suppliers for our needs by being able to tap into the experience and the wisdom of our colleagues, just down the road. So that was really the inspiration for creating Procurated. Started it in 2019. We since then have become partners, official partners, and I think Denitra will talk a little bit what that means, with 9 states across the country, which we're very proud of, as well as a number of counties like Rockland County in New York and Sacramento County in California, and a number of others, and a number of universities, including a bunch in Florida. And keep this to yourself. I'm on this call with 20 people, but we just got a signed contract on Tuesday with the federal GSA, the buying arm of the federal government, to be helping them in the way that they monitor and manage the performance of their suppliers. So, for a company that is only about 4 years old, I'm really thrilled with how quickly folks in government procurement across the country have embraced and adopted our platform. And it's very heartening for me because the only reason that Denitra and I do what we do, the reason why we take flights at whatever, 7 o'clock in the morning and work through lunch and just work our butts off, is because we're really committed to you. We're really committed to making what I think is the most underappreciated job in government, which is a procurement official, to making your job just a little bit easier by giving you access to a tool like Procurated to help you with your jobs. And I'll close with one thing, which is, in my experience in procurement, whenever something went wrong, people used to blame us. They used to blame me. Oh, those guys in procurement, they held it up. They were too slow. They didn't give me what I needed. And when things went right, no one ever came by and said, "Oh, thank you, procurement. You really saved our lives." Maybe it happened every now and then, but not enough. And so before I turn it over to Nitra, I just want to say thank you to you all, because I don't think you get thanked enough. And I really appreciate the absolutely vital role of procurement officials to making our governments work and operate as well as they do. So from the bottom of my heart, sincerely, thank you all for your service. And I'll turn it over now to my colleague and my friend, Denitra.
Wow, that was that's going to be hard to follow. Well, good afternoon, guys. As David mentioned, Procurated is a online, and it is free, ratings and review platform. It is literally one of the largest supplier ratings and review platforms for public sectors. So what that means is that this site is literally made for you and by you, with you in mind. It is free for procurement officials in government, higher education, nonprofits, and healthcare. So you can trust that the community that you are sharing with and that you're engaging with are people that look like you and share very similar roles. You don't have to worry about going on our site and seeing reviews from people that might not, have ever worked in a procurement sector. Someone like Jack or Jane who might be giving a review about pizza, it's not going to be like this. This is literally people that share the same role as you. So we're going to get a little bit into this. So of course, David gave a wonderful, wonderful introduction as to how Procurated came to be. But today I want to share with you a small overview about Procurated. I want to share some of our use cases and some of our frequently asked questions. And I want to share a few details and numbers with you, as well as I want to talk to you about reviews and the importance of reviews and navigating the site. So, as David mentioned, the site was created in 2019, and it empowers buyers to find and select the best suppliers, including local, diverse, and small businesses. That is one of the main things that people love and enjoy about this site, is that you're able to create an ecosystem where some of those businesses can compete and get visibility compared to your larger organizations like W.W. Granger and Office Depot and things like Staples. So just to give you a little bit of insight about our community, we have about 60,000 of you guys on here leaving reviews, searching the platform, asking questions, hoping to make the platform more effective and efficient for you. And we have about a little over 50,000 supplier reviews. So that means there are about 50,000 comments, ratings, star reviews on our site. We have over 12,000 supplier pages, and that number grows every single day as we continue to talk to you guys and you interact with the site and add some of your smaller and local businesses. So I want to ask you a question, and you guys can drop it in the chat. And as well, if you have questions as we go along, we'll kind of monitor the chat and come back and answer some of these questions. But I want to know, like, what products and services are you guys kind of buying regularly? Is it like cleaning supplies or laboratory equipment, maybe even IT equipment or construction items? And I'll give you guys maybe a minute to drop some things in there because this is going to be important as I show you guys how to actually get in and use the site. And while we do that, I am actually going to go ahead and get onto the site. Okay, computer software solutions. Thank you. Okay. Maintenance and services, perfect. Okay. Got a few.
Denitra, you're muted, just so you know.
Yes, I am looking at the list.
Okay.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you. Okay, perfect. As these things are rolling in, I'm just going to get straight into the site. So, as I said, this site is completely free for you guys. At the end of the presentation, I'll share with you guys how you can log in and create your personal page, and that will be on www.procurated.com. And on that site, able to log in as a buyer, put in your work email, the organization that you're with, along with your name, and I'll go in and approve you guys immediately so that you can kind of get in there and search. Once you have access to the site, this is going to be your holy grail. This is going to be the page that is going to give you everything you need. On this home screen, you'll have your search bar, and on your search bar, you are able to look for suppliers, look for products or services. You can search for certain vendors that you already know, such as like Comcast maybe, or Office Depot, or even a local supplier that may have been added into our system. If you scroll down, you're also able to look for suppliers by category. And we got these categories from you. We asked you guys, what categories do you like to see? What categories do you use all of the time? You also have the ability to request a category. So I saw here that Harmony, you guys look for, you and your team look for water locks. If you wanted to request that category and we kept seeing that come in, this is something that we can add later on the back end. As you continue to scroll down on this page, you are able to write reviews. This is one of the most important components of our site. On here, if you click write a review, you are able to put in your supplier's name. If you had contract information, you can add that, but it's not necessary. And you're able to leave an overall rating. The star rating is from 1, which is poor, all the way to 5, which is completely excellent, astonishing. We love them. Below, you're able to leave your review. Now, what I love about these reviews is people sometimes just say, oh my gosh, they were just so awesome. But you can even say things like, I ordered 100 laptops. The customer service was great. The shipping was awesome. I would shop with them again. You can leave as much detail as you want. And another thing that I love about this is that you're able to display your name with the review, or you can leave it anonymously, or you can make your review visible to the supplier or not. So this creates an environment that you feel that you can trust what people are saying. You can, if you wanted to share with the supplier, you could, but we want you to be completely and totally honest. So I'm going to go back to that main page for you. Another thing that I love about our site is our Procurated resources. Here you're going to find all of our thought leadership webinars, past trends, highlights, and insights, and really awesome things that are happening within the industry. And these get updated all of the time by our awesome team here. But let's get into some of the things that I was talking about, how you can use the site. So I've seen maintenance come up a lot. Let's say that you were looking for a maintenance service. So what you would do is you would go into the search bar and you would just type that in. And what you'll get is a ton of different suppliers. And I'm actually going to change this for you guys to show it from Florida. You guys have about 1,800 different vendors for maintenance. But let's say that you wanted to, or you had to award a certain amount of your contracts to minority-owned business enterprises. Well, if you look to the left, you're able to narrow down your search by business designations. So it can be by LGBTQ, minority-owned, veteran-owned, small business-owned, and so forth. So let's say that we wanted to click on minority enterprise business. That is now taken the list from over 1,800 to about 275 different vendors. Another really, really awesome thing is, let's say that, you know what, I only want to look at 4-star reviews. I don't want to see any 2 stars or 3 stars. Well, guess what? You're able to now differentiate between your 4 stars, 3 stars, and so on. So we're going to look at our minority-owned businesses with 4 stars and up. That now takes the list that started at 1,800 down to 44 results. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on one of these vendors. And the cool thing about these pages for these vendors is that they're able to put their phone numbers in, give a direct link to their website, and then you can find out a little bit about them. You're also able to see what contract vehicles they're on, such as this one, which is Texas statewide, and you can see their service area, which is national. So for you guys, just to go ahead and answer this question, you guys, as you sign in, would only be able to see businesses within Florida and nationwide. So you wouldn't necessarily see a business specific to, let's say, Denver or Georgia. It would just be Florida or nationwide. You're also able to look at their commodities, and how this is registered, or how we look at it, is one of the things that we recognize are NIGP commodity codes. So it's something, again, that you can trust. As you scroll down on this page, this is my favorite part. You are literally able to see their overall rating and review. So of course, their star rating and review, but you're also able to see their actual reviews and ratings. So as you can see, Tracy Bump left a 5 out of 5, and this was her review. But let's say that with the 5 out of 5, you wanted to know, well, what did you order? You know, was the shipping great? How was their customer service throughout the duration of the contract? You have the ability to click direct message and to message Tracy, and she can write you back. So you are now talking with someone that is in a completely different state about a vendor, but you're able to get and receive a real experience and real feedback. Another thing that I love about this is, again, you're able to go in and leave a review right on their page. Their name is already kind of implemented in the supplier business name for you, and the steps would be the same as I mentioned earlier. Now, I'm not sure how many of you are like me and shop completely online. I am an Amazon nut. I'm on there all the time, creating different lists for things for my house or my car or for maybe projects outside. Well, the cool thing here on our site is that you're able to create a supplier list. So let's say that you wanted to create a list for maintenance. You are now able to go in and create a list with whatever title works for you. We'll hit create list, and you can add this supplier to this list. And at the top screen where you see list, you are able to drop down and look for anyone that you've added to a list. And you can add as many vendors as you would like. And the thing that I love about this is when you're collaborating across major organizations such as you guys with, it seems like a nice amount of people on your procurement team or within your procurement division, you're able to share these things and export them when you're having your team meetings, or if you had to do justification statements or emergency requisitions. This allows you to share, hey, I found these 5 vendors. This is their rating. This is how many people rated them. These are the things that people are saying. And you can trust and believe that you are making a highly informed procurement decision. I'm actually going to go back to our Holy Grail page, our search page, and I'm going to show you another way that people love to use the site. So I mentioned that you can search for, a product or service, which we just did with maintenance. But let's say that you wanted to look for a particular vendor. I'm going to go ahead and type in, we'll say Office Depot. So boom, we have Office Depot, and it actually will give you a few organizations that are very similar with what they sell or their business. But as you can see, Office Depot has a 4.4 out of 5 rating with over 750 reviews. So a lot of people are using this. Again, you can see their phone number, their website. But what I love about this, and I'm hoping that we have some examples. Perfect, we do. I remember mentioning to you guys that you can leave a review anonymously. Here we have anonymous reviewer that gave them a 5 stars across the board. We have a Natalie Haggerty with Pennsylvania that gave them a 5 out of 5. And as you continue to scroll down, you're able to really take a deep dive into your ratings and your reviews. Okay. Thank you, David, for staying on the chat line for me as I give this. Okay, so I've shown you guys how you can search for a vendor. I've shown you guys how you can search for a particular product, but let me show you guys something that is so awesome. So as we mentioned earlier, you guys, of course, are able to sign up with our team completely for free. But let's say that you wanted to join the ranks of some of our program partners, like David mentioned earlier. We have partnerships with the state of Texas, with Pennsylvania, with Maine, just to name a few. We have partnerships with Rockland County, Sacramento County, just to name a few. We have partnerships with large higher education institutions, and we love Florida. I love Florida. One of those being USF and FIU. So we are really in Florida. And what that means partnership-wise is we are able to take your transactional data, your supplier info, and your buyer info, and download it into our system and allow you guys to tell us, hey, we would love a contract management dashboard. We want to see how a particular vendor is performing over the course of a contract. We want to see what cooperatives have joined on, what people are using it, and how a vendor is doing throughout the duration. Instead of when it's time for renewals, now finding out, hey, we had a problem with a vendor, you're able to really monitor in real time how a vendor is performing and either mitigate issues or use that to your benefit when you're going to the renegotiation table. I'm just going to give you an example of what a contract management dashboard looks like and how it can help you guys in the future if we continue to talk and go the program partnership way. So at the top, of course, you have your search bar. We have your list bar that I mentioned earlier, where all of your lists will be. And then we have contracts. So you want to click on contracts. And I'm just going to use an example with Pennsylvania Co-Stars, who we have a contract dashboard system made for. And in this, you're able to create your own categories, and any of your contracts that kind of fall in those categories, you're able to look at. So I'm going to go into IT hardware because I saw that come up a few times in the chat for what you guys buy and purchase. And in that, you are literally able to see every single contract throughout PA Co-Stars, Pennsylvania Co-Stars, that they have that deal with IT hardware. One of the more robust contracts that they have on here is with Dell. And what this will show you is this first number shows how the contract is performing for Pennsylvania Co-Stars, or in your case, how it would be for Broward County, how they are performing nationally, and looking at things such as customer service, pricing, timeliness, etc. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to click in that. And what this will show you is the overall rating. So they pretty much have a 5 out of 5 out of 41 different reviews. But as we're looking into the reviews, you are literally able to see every single organization within Pennsylvania Co-Stars, for example, that is on this contract. So you can see that Valley Day School gave Dell Marketing a 3 out of 5, and they left one review. But then if we scroll down and we look at the Education Center at the Watson Institute, they gave a 5 out of 5, and they've left 4 reviews. And what I love about this is it gives you some insight into who is using the contract, and also it allows you to be able to collaborate and connect within your network to kind of find out the real deal about a vendor. So instead of getting those cherry-picked references that David mentioned, and I'm sure you guys all know about, you're able to connect with someone within your network that has used this particular vendor and kind of get some insight. If you wanted to scroll down a little bit more, you are still able to read those individual ratings, and again, get some more insight as to how a vendor is performing. A lot of people love to use this, as I said earlier, when they're going back to the table to renegotiate contracts, when they're going through their renewal period and like, hey, do we want to stick with this vendor, or should we look at others? If there are certain issues that you want to mitigate, this allows you a little bit of insight to be able to do that. I'm going to go back from here. So I've shown you guys the main ways that people love to use the site. I've shown you guys how to search for supplies. It could be maintenance, it could be cleaning, it could be temp services, which I saw. I've shown you guys how to look for a specific vendor, but I've also shown you guys how you can use our list feature and our contract dashboard. I know that David has been in here answering questions. But I want to open the floor up to you, David, and I'll be here as well so that we can answer any questions that you guys have and kind of walk you through it live on the site. David, was there any particular question that you wanted me to kind of search through? Now that I'm looking through the queue, it's been really active, and we can show Broward County how Procurated can solve that.
Yeah, thanks, Denitra, and as always, great job walking us through it. So yeah, there were a number of really good questions in the chat. So thank you all for putting them in there. Alexa did make a comment that she'd like to repeat the questions. So if you missed them in the chat, we can answer them. So why don't we do that, and just anyone, just open up the floor to all of you to fire questions at us. And maybe one thing before we do that though, Denitra, is there a place where you can just show your email address and phone number, just so if people want to follow up and ask you questions afterwards, they can? And obviously, Alexa and Bob know how to reach me.
Absolutely. So I was actually going to do that toward the end. So I know there's a few questions that require searching on the screen. So I'm going to go ahead and put it inside of the chat, and then I'll leave it up top once we finish that.
Great idea. Okay. So why don't we, while you're doing that, if you all have questions you want to ask out loud, we're happy to answer them.
Well, let me start off by walking everyone through the questions that you have answered so far,
Okay,
and then that'll give everyone else the opportunity to add any additional questions in the chat, or they can raise their hand if they want to come off mic and ask you guys something verbally.
great.
Okay, so the first one I saw here on the list, and I think this was my question, how do you verify or screen the reviews?
Yeah, so I'll answer that quickly so we can get to all of them. So the first is, as Denitra said, we verify every review. We know that every single review was written by someone who is a legitimate and active government or education employee. So if you see a review of Comcast, it's not written by someone from Comcast or by someone from Verizon. It's all written by, real people who've had a real experience. Secondly, when we do partner with the government, so we have a lot of users who just come in on their own and use the platform. And as Denitra said, there are 9 states right now and a number of counties, Rockland, Sacramento among them, who we officially partner with. When we partner with the government, which is the recommended route, and we'd love to talk to you more about that, you provide us at the beginning of that first with a list of all of your key suppliers so we can load them in the system so they're there when people are searching for them. And then second, you give us a list of all your authorized users who you want to have easy access to the site. If you tell us that Joe Smith from the streets department is an authorized user, we take your word for it and he can get into the site when he logs in. And then if someone else were to come on the site, we would verify them. But the reason why I like the partnership approach better than just having someone come in off the street is we know from you that they're verified, and it gives us even more confidence that everyone on the site should be here. So that's, I guess, the answer to the first question.
Okay, great. The next question I have here is, well, we have something called local preference.
Yeah.
On some of our, it's basically one of our criteria
Yep.
on some of the contracts. So can we drill down during the search to our specific area, for example, to Broward County in terms of those suppliers?
Yeah, so today the answer unfortunately is no. We can show you Florida, but we couldn't show you whether the company's based are you asking where they're based or where they have an operations or
Correct.
where they're headquartered?
Where they're based. Well, I'll answer where they're based as of right
Okay.
now in terms of local preference. Yes.
So so in general, you couldn't search by county today. It is something that we are working on. But I do have an idea as a way to solve for it, which is if you have a list of those companies and you know who they are, and you were to partner with us, I don't think we could do this if you didn't, but if you did partner with us, and by the way, partnering is free, we could call them, a Broward County company in the same way. And I didn't catch this, Denitra, because I was answering some questions. Did you show folks how they could filter by like the minority-owned business or women-owned business? Let me pull that up real quick just so I can
Okay.
illustrate this point.
Let's see.
Yeah. So you'll see when this comes back on the top left, yeah, where her mouse is. See how it has 8 different designations? We could add a designation that's called Broward County Local Business or something like that. And you could just, when your users are searching for a supplier, they could just check that box and it would show the companies that are, that are Broward County based. So I think we actually can. I was pessimistic. I think we actually can, as I talk about it a little bit. I think we actually can solve for that.
Okay, next question. Are vendors provided their reviews?
Right.
And
So,
are they able to challenge or respond to a low review?
yep, good question. So as Denitra said at the beginning, the site is a private one for you. It's a safe space where people can write reviews without fear that they're going to be broadcast to the suppliers. However, if a review writer, yeah, thanks, Denitra. If a review writer at the bottom were to click the box that says "Make my review visible to the supplier," then yes, we'll do what you want us to do, and we'll show the review to the supplier so they can see it. And then your second question, we had a lot of requests from suppliers and from government to let the suppliers respond to those reviews, but only the reviews that were made visible. So if I go in and I say I had a really bad experience with Granger, and I say make my review visible, I want them to know I had a bad experience, then yes, we'll let them respond to it and say, dear so-and-so, I'm sorry you had a bad experience. Please reach out to so-and-so who's in charge of customer service for us at our headquarters so we can make it right. So yes, that is something that will be coming out, but again, only for the reviews that you decide you want to make visible to the supplier.
Okay, and the next question, we're exploring another way to determine the financial integrity of a proposing firm. Currently, we use the company's financial statements. We're thinking about using public information instead. Financials are sometimes confidential and have trade secrets. So does Procurated have any experience or information as it relates to the financial integrity of suppliers?
Great question. And just to clarify, Alexa, when you say financial integrity, you mean like what's the risk of them going out of business? What's their credit worthiness? Those kinds of questions? Or is it
I'll
something
ask if
else?
one of our purchasing managers can kind of come off mute to elaborate.
Hi,
Okay.
this is Christine
I
Shorey.
think at
How are you?
DMV, yeah.
Yeah, so because of the potential financial statement lack of transparency when we create ratios and things like that, we're thinking about using Dun& Bradstreet reports or something else that's more public information.
Yeah, good question. So today, no. Today, our site is really just around reviews with a little bit of other information. However, a couple things. One, we do, maybe you can show, just go to Granger, Denitra. We do show you the DUNS number of the supplier. So that should be a way to make it a little bit easier if you are going to use D&B. However, all that said, I always get excited about sort of stuff that we're working on. And one of the things that one of my colleagues said to me is, David, we're not a review platform. We're actually a trust platform. And trust does mean, I think, in large part, the performance of the supplier, but it can also mean the financial integrity of the supplier. And so maybe just look for Granger, Denitra. So when you do that, so if trust means more than just reviews, then being able to show you the creditworthy score, the DUNS score, is a really good idea. I will take this back to our product team, and it may not be in the next quarter, but I do think that we'll start to provide more information beyond reviews. Thank you. To be able to show you the risk that you're taking on with a supplier. Perhaps it's financial risk. Maybe they've been in the news for a negative story. Maybe there's litigation against them. I think all these things are things that a buyer wants to know when they're making a decision. So,
Okay, so those are all the questions that I see here in the chat. Are there any other questions out there that anyone wants to come off mute for, or take a quick minute to see if there's anything else you'd like to type in the chat while we have David and Denitra here? Okay, I'm not seeing anything. So, was there more to your presentation, Denitra? You want to switch back over? Okay. And
So
you're
I want
muted. Oh, okay.
Perfect. So I wanted to share with you guys about the user registration. I would love for you guys to kind of go in after this call. And again, I'll be monitoring on the back end to let you guys in. Alexa, you can just email me and let me know if you have any questions as well. And I can send this out to you so you can share with the team. But if you guys go to www.procurated.com, you'll be able to click on sign up. You would sign up as a buyer and you would follow the prompts. And make sure that you guys use your Broward County emails. If you use your personal emails, we will not be able to grant you access. That's how we keep this community close-knit and safe that you can trust. Upon your completion, you will get an email with a verification code. This is just part of our two-step authentication. You will get that either in your inbox, and sometimes depending on your cookies or your cache settings, it might go into your junk mail or your trash. So just check there. Once you sign into there, you will actually be prompted into your personal profile. And this will grant you access to do some of the searching and the things that I was doing earlier. Also, if you guys have questions, I'm going to put up my email and my name, so you guys can email me at any time about, access. If you need another tour within a smaller team, if you guys want to look at different ways that you can use the platform, I am here to help you navigate. So let me pull that up really quickly so you guys can take that. Hold on one second. Are you guys able to see the screen with my email on it?
No, you're no longer sharing.
Okay. That sounds exciting. Okay, give me 1 second.
So while we're waiting on that, I see that our Director of Purchasing, Bob Gleason, has joined. Bob, did you want to say a few words?
Sure. Good afternoon. David, good to see you again.
Hey, Bob, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. Nice to meet you, Denitra.
Thank you.
You were in much better company with the staff here in my absence. So thanks very much for taking time out of your busy day to share with this team here the services that you provide. And I know I follow many of your exploits, David, in other jurisdictions. I know the great value that you provide with your team. And so I'm very much appreciative of that. So I don't, did we record this? Yes. Okay. So I'll have the opportunity to review it and catch up. And anytime you guys are in the area, you're always welcome to stop in. We're just north of Miami, south of Palm Beach. There's always a rich culture of public purchasing here in Florida, and particularly South Florida with Miami-Dade, Palm Beach County. We have 15, 16 cities here in this county, not to mention some towns and so forth. So there's a lot of going on here in Southeast Florida. A lot of conferences are held in Miami-Dade, and it's about 40 minutes south of here. I'm still geographically challenged. I've only been here for the last year, so I think Christine heard me say one time, I don't know, what was it? I said, Coral Creek, and everybody looked at me and said, where's that? Well, had Coral and had Creek, and sounded like a jurisdiction here. So thanks again.
Thanks, Bob, and thanks for having us. It was great. Your team asked excellent questions, and it was a really great conversation. And love to be able to help in any way we can with the absolutely vital mission that you all undertake every day.
Did the question of financial responsibility come up at any point?
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, Christine asked the question, and we're going to follow up with her offline because it's something we're really interested in.
Yeah, good. Thanks. Thank you, Christine.
Well, I just want to say again, thank you all. Have a wonderful rest of your Friday, a wonderful weekend. Again, I left my name and my email address so that as you guys sign in or you have questions, please reach out to me. I'm so excited to help you guys on your Procurated journey. Again, thank you, Bob, and thank you, Alexa, for coordinating and letting us share this with your team for your Lunch and Learn today.
We wish you warm winds and no snow.
Well, thank you.
That's very timely.
Thank you,
weekend,
everyone.
so thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Alexa, so much.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.